All right, welcome back, everybody. We are going to do a reaction to a video from a channel called Basketball Universe. We've covered them before. This one's called The Truth of the 1991 Chicago Bulls versus Detroit Pistons series. We all know there's a lot of controversy that followed all of that with the Pistons not shaking hands and walking off the court, and there's a lot of bad blood all the way to this day, as crazy as it sounds. Isaiah Thomas is still on a hate tour for Michael Jordan. It's kind of embarrassing at this point, to tell you the truth. But anyways, I'm going to link the original video down below, and let's check this out together.
When will the lies stop? There's a lot of confusion surrounding the 1991 Eastern Conference Final Series between the Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls. That is mostly due to how badly the Bulls defeated the Bad Boy Pistons.
Yeah, they swept them, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they swept them that year. It was payback.
They were swept by an average margin
there it is.
of 11.5 points per game.
Oh, they killed them.
The explanation that we've gone for the way they were dismantled was that the Pistons were too old and too banged up. Since they were not at full strength, it almost tainted the Bulls' series victory in the eyes of some NBA fans. I'm here to tell you that is completely false. I have the real reason why the Pistons got destroyed by the Bulls.
Yeah, if they're going to make that excuse, then the Bulls can make the same excuse the year prior when Scottie got a migraine, and that was the reason why they lost. You know? Yeah, fact is they lost. The Bulls lost that year, they won the next year. It is what it is.
It's all because Michael Jordan dominated the series, right? I wouldn't go that far. His performance was excellent, don't get me wrong. He averaged 29.8 points on nearly 54% shooting, 7 assists, 5.3 rebounds, 2.3 steals, and 1.8 blocks per game.
He basically just played his average.
He was extraordinary on both ends of the floor, but he was scoring at a lower rate than his regular season average. The most he scored in that series was 35 points. For his lofty standards, that's not considered special. So the Bulls didn't exact revenge on their arch nemesis because of Michael's offensive explosion. There has to be more to it. If we look back at some of the explanations that we've gone throughout the years, it still leaves some question marks. For example, in all the documentaries about Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, or the Bad Boy Pistons, they always credit the mental toughness that the Bulls gained that helped them stand up to the bully, and that allowed them to finally get past the hurdle that the Pistons were to them.
I mean, fact of the matter is, if it wasn't for the Pistons being as tough as they were, and I mean downright practically cheating, because they were literally just out there playing like bully ball. Like they were like seriously trying to injure everybody, especially Jordan. That was like their main target. So they were literally just trying to like injure everybody, and it was really dirty basketball. But the fact of the matter is, if the Bulls didn't have to fail against those Pistons for a couple of years the way they did, no way would the Bulls end up being the crazy monster they became. Because once they got over the Pistons, that was it. Nobody else could ever compete.
But that just always seemed too simplistic. I do concede that the Bulls did a much better job in not reacting to their physical play. They refused to get drawn into an all-out physical confrontation, but they also stood their ground when it was necessary.
Yeah, they got both physical and mental toughness going in on the series, and they never lost it.
Horace Grant even admitted to the Chicago Tribune that season that it frustrated the Pistons when they kept their composure. So I believe that aspect was important. From an X's and O's standpoint, it was a supremely underrated defense that made the Pistons look like they didn't belong. They couldn't figure out how to crack the energetic Bulls defense.
It's funny, it's just like nowadays how, we have like cancel culture and cyber bullies and all that stuff. And what the Bulls did was a version of that. Don't respond to the bully. Don't play into the bullshit. You know what I mean? So the Pistons were trying to get a rise out of the Bulls like they did against everybody. Get them distracted, get them to play overly physical, and get those guys in trouble. But the Bulls just stayed composed, did what they set out to do, and whoop some ass. You know, same thing on the this in a cyber world. If there's somebody coming after you and it's stupid, they obviously just want attention. So just don't give them attention. You know, ignore them. You don't feed them.
Let's take a look at the numbers. The Pistons averaged 100.1 points per game for the regular season. But for this series,
Wow.
they were held to 95.3 points per game.
Good D Bulls.
We'll get to why the whole "they were too old and banged up" claim is bogus in just a moment. But let's first prove that the Pistons weren't the only team to underperform due to Chicago's dominant defense. In the first round, the New York Knicks averaged 17.1 points less than the regular season average.
Versus 86. Wow.
In the second round, the Philadelphia 76ers averaged 11.2 points less than the regular season average.
Damn.
And in the finals, the Los Angeles Lakers averaged 14.7 points less.
That's huge right there. So, Showtime Lakers were averaging, they were scoring a lot for 1990-91. So 106 points per game in the regular season. Then when they faced up against the Bulls, they shot down, 15 points? Yeah. They shot down 15 points a game. It's crazy. That just shows good defense right there.
Less than the regular season average. So I guess the Bulls made everyone look old and banged up.
Right?
There was a reason
Yeah, they said that about the Lakers too, so same excuse.
why Chicago went 15-2 in the playoffs. But let's go back to the series in question. Let's look at some of the numbers that the Pistons players recorded. We first have Joe Dumars, who was their leading scorer in the regular season with a 20.4 points per game average.
By the way, young buck friend of mine, I was mentioning how good Joe Dumars was because we were kind of debating, he was saying the Bulls team were stacked and all this stuff, and he was comparing Joe Dumars to B.J. Armstrong, and also comparing him to John Paxson, and then also comparing him to Steve Kerr. And I laughed so hard. I'm like, you guys don't know who the hell Joe Dumars was. That dude was for real. Steve Kerr, Paxton, BJ, they were just bottom tier guards. But Joe D was, he was 1A, he was 1B to 1A when it came to him and Isaiah. They were co-stars.
He was held to 12.5 points for the series. James Edwards and Bill Laimbeer, who combined to average 24.6 points in the regular season, averaged a combined 13.1 points for the series. The secret to the Bulls' success was their constant pressure on the ball that didn't allow the Pistons to set up their half-court offense. The two-man offensive game, usually featuring Isaiah and Bill running a pick and roll, with Laimbeer either shooting a wide-open jumper or Thomas driving to the basket, was completely eliminated. The Bulls were so effective in fighting through screens and switching defenders, allowing Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen to bother Isaiah with their length.
By the way, Joe D's a real one. All these years and all this rivalry and everything, he has nothing but positive things to say about Jordan. And Michael Jordan has nothing but positive things to say about Joe Dumars. So there's a little difference between that and what happened with Isaiah. So if Isaiah wasn't a little prick, a little petty asshole, they'd probably have a good relationship. But there was no, Isaiah wasn't giving him respect, so Jordan didn't give him any respect back, and it's still going on in 2024. It's silly. But, Michael Jordan respects the hell out of Joe Dumars. Always has.
Showed that their traps, pressure, and athleticism on defense were their most dangerous weapon. You had Scottie Pippen, who was all over the court. Take, for example, his Game 1 performance when he had 6 steals
that's disrespectful.
and 5 blocks. The only other player to record over 5 steals and 5 blocks in a playoff game is Hakeem Olajuwon.
That's sick.
When you have a player averaging over 3 steals and 2 blocks, along with 22 points per game, how do you even contend with that?
Yeah, that was prime Pippen, man. Pippen was killing it for a little while there.
Then we have the defensive versatility of Horace Grant. We're talking about a 6'10" power forward who could guard the full length of the floor. If that's an incredible luxury to have in today's game, Imagine the advantage the Bulls had during that time.
Yeah, disadvantage was that he was short. And he wasn't too blocky. Like blocky as in like beefed up. But he was quick, and he was a fantastic defender. Not so great on the offensive end, but as far as doing all the dirty work, Horace Grant was pretty damn legit.
And finally, they had the greatest two-way player
Bang!
in NBA history.
That's disgusting.
Michael Jordan played an important role in forcing the backcourt of the Pistons to play inefficiently. For example, Jackie MacMullen made this interesting observation for an ESPN article in 2020 about Jordan's strong...
Man, look at that. I mean, nowadays, if you see the same highlight, but put LeBron where Jordan is, Bron would just like walk off the court and then yell at, put his hands up in the air and yell at one of his teammates.
Defensive play against the Detroit Pistons. Quote, in that series, Detroit averages 0.79 points per play with Jordan as a primary defender and charges 35%, according to ESPN Stats and Info. Jordan relentlessly tracked guards Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, pickpocketing them in the backcourt or springing out of his low defensive stance with cat-like quickness to flood their passing lanes. End of quote.
Nice shot.
And that's exactly what we saw. Joe Dumars
Him talking shit to Dennis Rodman back in the day. That's great.
was affected the most by Jordan's stifling defense.
That's a cool image right there, too. I like that. Those two guys never talk trash to each other, by the way. Joe Dumars said it. Because Jordan was a big trash talker. But he was like, no, we respected each other. So he never said anything to him like that. Except for like, hey, how you doing? How the family? Yeah, those are two of my favorites in the 90s and the 80s.
He averaged 34.7% from the field for the series. That is the lowest field goal percentage that he shot in a series for his career.
Wow.
So don't think for a second
And Jordan was guarding him.
that the Pistons were no longer a formidable opponent just because they got their butts handed to them. Don't forget that Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, and John Salley were all under the age of 30 at the start of the season.
Yet Isaiah Thomas makes the excuse that it's because they were all old. They were in their prime. They were actually in their freaking prime. But the Bulls beat them. So instead of just manning up and being like, hey, we whooped their ass for a couple years and they came back and got revenge on us. Congratulations, Chicago. Did they pull all this stupid crap? Just making excuses and being disrespectful. Not a fan. It's sad too. Isaiah Thomas used to be like one of like top 3 favorite players growing up. I used to wear number 11 as a tribute to him when I was a kid playing basketball. So I'm not a real big fan of how he turned out.
This wasn't like the Bulls were playing the 1999 Houston Rockets.
No, yeah, those are old,
The
washed
series
up
wasn't
guys.
close because that's how good the Bulls defense was. If you think I'm guilty of revisionist history, check out this quote from the Washington Post back in 1991 before the start of the playoffs. Quote, why will Detroit be so tough to beat again? Isaiah and Dumars are still the best backcourt in the league.
They were.
Rodman is still the best defender.
Yep.
Sally is a dunking/swatting monster. Aguirre, a 25-point scorer for his career,
Oh, dude.
is certainly
Mark Aguirre was badass.
capable of filling Vinnie Johnson's old role.
Yep.
And there's always Lambeer. End of quote.
Lambeer's a piece of crap. Vinnie Johnson was a badass too, by the way.
This team was expected to be a threat. This team was expected to give the Bulls problems, but they ended up being exposed. For the record, I understand that Isaiah Thomas was limited. He has said multiple times that his quote, career-ending wrist surgery was a reason why they were swept. I understand that the Pistons were a bit banged up throughout the year. But come on, Bill Lambier and Dennis Rodman played all 82 games.
Ha! Look at this guy wearing number 45. Little did you know Jordan was going to wear that number after a while.
Joe Dumars played 80 games. Mark Aguirre played 78 games.
Yeah.
And John Salley and James Edwards played over 70 games. They weren't as banged up as you think they were.
Nope.
They simply lost to a better team.
I have no respect for people who lose and then just blame shift all over the place. I have zero respect for it. The Bulls never did that. Every year they lost, even though they were basically getting cheated against by the Pistons, they never made that excuse. They said, we got to come back tougher. And then they did.
Even if they were 100% healthy, the result wouldn't be much different. It was time for the Chicago Bulls to start the greatest dynasty in the modern NBA, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. But that's just my 2 cents. What do you think was the main reason why the Bulls swept the Detroit Pistons? What do you remember the most from that series? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Cool vid. Yeah, I'm digging this channel. All right, so Basketball Universe. I'm already subscribed and I like good. Basketball Universe has 11.3 subs. That's criminal. So everybody watching this, if you liked what you saw there and you think that this guy's got some potential, which I do, go shoot him a subscribe. Shoot him a like. You know, let him know where you came from. All of us small content creators, you know, we need to like stick together and, you know, pass each other back and forth and share an audience. But anyways, guys, what did you all think about that one? Because I got to learn some stats I didn't know. That the Bulls' defense in the playoffs was even better than I thought it was. That's insane, those numbers that I saw. Like the Pistons scoring 15 less a game, and then even more impressive, the Lakers scoring 15 less a game than their average when they played the Bulls. But yeah, let me know what you think. Whose side are you on when it comes to the Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan? Whatever, rivalry, war, whatever you want to call it, that drama. And yeah, did you learn anything on this? Were you a Pistons fan? Were you a Bulls fan? I was definitely a Bulls fan, but I definitely loved Isaiah Thomas. Anyways, everybody, thank you for watching as usual. I'm going to end it here for today, but I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Peace out.